The fans at NBA games are some of the most entitled people on earth. They think just because they bought a ticket to the game that they can do anything that they want.
What's going on here? Oh, wow. Somebody's run onto the floor. Goes into the front row on the other line with these people.
Sometimes the players respond. Short temper, Miles Bridges. Sometimes players don't care. Sometimes the players respond in a subtle way to act like they don't care. Sometimes fans throw things. Sometimes fans throw things and it gets ugly. Sometimes fans throw things and it gets really ugly. Sometimes fans go at the GOAT.
Somebody was all over LeBron.
And they're still on LeBron. I think that's what it is.
I haven't seen anyone be on LeBron like that since Draymond Green. Sometimes the GOAT snitches. Sometimes the fans snitch. Oftentimes, the players let fans of all ages know that they are human beings too.
And he's talking to anyone that wants to listen. What are you talking about? That's right, Russ.
There's a lot of Russell Westbrook in here. I do love Russ though, I will say. But it's all fun and games for fans until someone has a direct impact on the outcome of a game.
And a steal. Miller retreats to the three-point line and hits again.
But has one individual fan ever had as direct an impact on a game as this guy? The date is April 29th, 2016. Game 6 in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. The third-seeded Miami Heat is desperate to avoid elimination after losing 3 straight games to the 6th-seeded Charlotte Hornets. Now, the Hornets had a pretty solid squad. They had a prime Kemba Walker, the last effective old-school big man in Al Jefferson, and a wildly overpaid but still decent Nick Batum. Now, the Hornets did have to deal with Tyler Hansborough and Cody Zeller, who Heat fans hate for different reasons, and a not-so-great bench, so they were huge underdogs in this series versus the stacked Miami Heat. Unfortunately for Miami, this was after Chris Bosh got sick with blood clots once again earlier in the season, and he would not play a game in the NBA after that. I love Chris Bosh, by the way, man. I guarantee you if Bosh never got sick, they would have won the championship in 2016. If Bosh didn't get sick and Whiteside didn't get hurt, but that's a video for another day. But the Heat still had one of their greatest point guards in franchise history with Goran Dragic. They also had a great two-way player in Luol Deng. They had a rising star big man Hassan Whiteside, promising rookies in Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson, and former All-Stars with a little left in the tank in Joe Johnson and Amari Stoudemire. Yet somehow, with all the odds stacked against them, the Charlotte Hornets still found themselves up 3-2 with a chance at home to pull off the upset. Oh, and it's a 2-point game with under a minute to go and all of the momentum on their side. So how did the series end up finishing like this? Well, there's one guy I forgot to mention who's also on the Heat, Dwyane Wade. Now, 2016 was Wade's last season with Miami before joining the Chicago Bulls, and his 19 points per game that year were tied for second lowest since his rookie season, but he was still a very productive player. He was an all-star and he was a killer. But what he wasn't, and never has been, was a three-point shooter. In fact, D-Wade only made 7 threes that entire season and none in the playoffs so far. But fast forward to the fourth quarter of Game 6, under 4.5 minutes to go, and Kemba Walker hits a monster 3 to cut Miami's lead to 4. But now checks into the game, Dwyane Wade. Whiteside answers with a layup, followed by a beautiful shot of an extremely irritated Michael Jordan. And on the very next possession,
Wade finds Dang. Dang fakes back up to Wade. A rare 3. It's good! Dwyane Wade from downtown! He hasn't hit a 3 since December.
you can hear Mike Breen stunned at even the attempt, as it was Wade's first three-pointer made in 4 months. However, Charlotte would answer with a 7-0 run followed by a Heat 24-second violation. And that's where we got our first look at this man. Now, with Miami only up 2 and Wade having absolutely enough of this, he decides to do his best Mike Miller impression and drill another 3.
Wade, another 3. It's good! Dwyane Wade from downtown!
And upon replay, look who is chirping in his ear. The Hornets would answer this with a dive-in dish to Al Jefferson, making this a one-possession game with a shot clock and a half to go. If the Hornets can get a stop, they'll have a chance to send the game into overtime. Dwyane Wade didn't like this idea.
Wade leans in, falling away, puts it in! Dwyane Wade does it again! And Charlotte has to call timeout.
Bruh, this man hit a 360 pivoting pirouette while being smothered by a 6'5" Courtney Lee, all ending with a swish. That's superstar stuff right there. And what was Wade's response after hitting such a magnificent shot? Getting right into the face of the guy who set him off. 19,636 fans were in attendance that night in Charlotte, North Carolina, and one of them will never be forgotten. D. Wade finished this game with 23 points, 8 of which were in the last 4 minutes of the game, and Miami went on to win 97-90, followed by a 33-point rout in Game 7 to advance to the Eastern Conference semifinals. After the game, Wade was asked about Purple Shirt Guy, and this was his response.
Speaking of Twitter, that purple, the Hornets fan in purple is kind of you and we're trying to get at each other.
Get at each other?
Yeah, you guys
Nah.
were trying to exchange words.
I'm not giving him any more attention. He got enough.
Smart move by Wade, because if there's one thing we learned after this game, it's that Purple Shirt Guy loves attention. So his name is Michael Deason, and I'm not trying to expose the man or dox him, nothing like that. It's public information. But he was 43 at the time, and I was able to find a ton of quotes from him in the years since. He loves pointing out that he's not the reason the Hornets lost. He says, "No, I didn't lose the game for them that night. Hell, did I win the game for them in Game 3 and 4? Because I was cheering a hell of a lot louder in Game 3 and 4. Okay, buddy. And I'm guessing that you also definitely believe Grant Williams isn't the reason the Celtics lost Game 2 in the conference finals this past year. Mr. Decent also believes that the Heat in particular have it out for him. He says, those guys, they don't like me. The coach, Eric Spoelstra, doesn't like me. The players get in trouble if they talk to me. Gerald Green, he tries his best not to talk to me, and every time he does, they ream him a new one. So when the Heat come to town, I try to step it up a little bit more." I guarantee you, the Heat don't give a about him or respect him at all. After Game 6, Whiteside was clearly about to express how idiotic he thinks that man is.
There's a guy in a purple shirt that was being pretty loud.
Oh my God.
Was he driving you guys crazy?
Tell him to go. Alright.
You would have thought Purple Shirt Guy learned his lesson, because this actually wasn't his first altercation with an NBA player. Just 3 months prior of setting off D. Wade, Michael Deason got into it with Kevin Durant. Durant got 30 and 11 and a 19-point win over the Hornets. Deason got a literal red card from team security stating that he needs to chill. I'm not kidding. This is the card right here that the arena staff handled him because he was getting a little too enthusiastic. Now, the guy claims that all he said to KD is that he's the third best player in the world and he asked him to stop crying, but who knows how much of that is true. But what was it that he said to Dwyane Wade on that infamous night? Well, he claims that he only taunted Wade in the first half, telling him that he needs to retire, and then went back to enthusiastically cheering for the rest of the second half. And this is the same enthusiastic cheering that he claims got him warnings from the Charlotte Hornets organization in both Games 3 and 4. And he states this is the reason that he toned it down in Game 6. I doubt it. Deason also claims that Wade apparently called him a bad motherfucker and that he finally got into Dwyane Wade's head after trying for 7 years. I mean, I suppose he got into D. Wade's head, but it's certainly not in the way that he hoped for. You can only imagine, right? But my favorite quote from Deason is when he said, "I played basketball, I understand the game, so I point out fundamentals to them and just stupid stuff." Now, I will say, I'd like to think he's being sarcastic, because when he's talking to this reporter, he finishes that same quote by saying, "It'd be like if someone called up and tried to tell you how to be a reporter or a journalist when they wrote in a school newspaper. It would piss you off, and that's all I'm trying to do." Either way, I don't think we'll be seeing Purple Shirt Guy at a game for a long, long time. When he was asked about being banned from the arena, he said, "Haha, no, I gave up my tickets. I was actually recently contacted about getting tickets again, but I think the guy was just calling off an old list." So he was asked if he was banned from the arena, and his response was, "Haha, no, That just screams when you get rejected by a girl and then you hit it with the, hey, I ain't want you anyways. Like, that is the most pathetic thing that I ever heard. But anyways, here we are 7 years after the legendary altercation in the Spectrum Center, and Dwyane Wade is officially a Hall of Famer. And I have that moment forever ingrained on the back of the official Wade World Tour merch on that clothing line that he dropped during his last season. And as far as what happened to Purple Shirt Guy, I mean, who really cares? I will say though, I don't hate the guy. If anything, maybe I have a little bit of respect for him, because I did see some quotes for him about how he was using this whole situation to get free promo for his company, Ozone Waste Solutions, which is kind of what I'm giving him right now as well. And it seems like he does great work there. I can tell he's pretty self-aware. At the end of the interview with him that I've been reading, he was asked for some final words and he just responds, no big final words. Besides, who would really listen? And I actually think that's pretty funny. Also, he was getting like actual death threats. Someone leaked his address online. They were attacking his wife and his family online. Like, that stuff is never okay, like in any circumstance. Like, people forget that this is just sports at the end of the day. It should never ever get personal like that. But it just occurred to me, I never actually showed the very next play after Wade's magical scoring outburst. And he's the greatest shot blocking guard of all time for a reason.
Walker fakes the three, drives, gets to the rim, blocked from behind. Dwyane Wade with the block as well. Kemba Walker looked like he had a clear path for a layup. Wow. And Wade with the fantastic block shot. Wow.